Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talking Good Games match preview of Brighton against West Ham United. Gonzo, as always, may you kindly kick us off with your thoughts on Brighton, please?
Yeah, stable. I feel there's a bit more stability to them than last season. When Hürzeler came in after a De Zerbi, well, he didn't look as good, if we're honest. And I think there were some grumblings at some point as to whether or not he would be a good fit for Brighton. As we know ourselves, though, that it's this Premier League stuff is not easy. And I feel like he's probably got more of his team there, although, as we know, with Brighton, he's probably not selected too many of them because they got Tony Bloom doing all that type of stuff there for them with his algorithm and whatnot. But it feels more like his team. And they seem to, maybe they've acclimatized to how he plays. And they seem better. They seem better this season than last season already. An absolute humdinger. Obviously, with the 4-3 against Aston Villa, but yeah, I think they're doing well, mate. They're doing well, and I think people have got to be realistic with their expectations of Brighton. I'm not talking about the Brighton fans; they can think what they want. It's just their club, but they're not going to. Sometimes they're up there and they're up mixing it with the top 5 points during the season. They're not going to do that every season. They're not. It's actually enough for someone like Brighton just to be a top 10 team, which just being a top 10 team in the Premier League is going to mean that you're going to qualify for Europe sometimes. And I think if they can carry on doing that, I think it's nothing short of miraculous, basically.
Yeah, club I admire a lot, actually, and I also enjoy watching play football. I think Hürzeler plays a nice balance of football. There's been some games I've watched that they haven't been great in or whatever, but by and large, when I tune in, I usually get a little bit of entertainment back from watching and committing to watching Brighton play football. I think this season's a big opportunity for them to because they've got no European football, to go on and finish in the top 8 of the Premier League, and I think that should be their ambition. I think they're good enough. I think they've got a lot of good players, and to some extent, I think that might be a bit of a problem because every time Brighton go to play, I don't know who he's going to pick. I know 3 or 4 of the players that's going to start, but it always feels like there's 5 positions up for grabs at Brighton, and every game it feels like there's a lot of changes by Hürzeler. And I don't know if this is statistically true. Someone might be able to go get the numbers and let me know in the comment section. But if you had to ask me to guess which manager makes the most changes to his starting 11 week by week, Brighton, Hürzeler would be. And I feel quite confident about it as well. It wouldn't be a punt. I'd feel like I'm going to get this one right. I'd feel quite good that I've got that answer right. But playing some good football, good opportunity for them this season. Really good at home. I think their away form is what needs tweaking, and they need to start picking up a bit more points away from home. And if they do that, they can have a great season. But at home, at the Amex Stadium, I think they're a tough team to beat. And that was a big win for Aston Villa. You know, Brighton were 2-0 up in that game, and Emery was losing his rag big time, made it 2-2 just before half time, and then bang, Aston Villa 4-2 up. Then he took it back to 4-3. It was an enjoyable game of football. I enjoyed watching it. But that's Brighton for you. In terms of their expectations, you said a top 10 would be good. Is that what you would class as a good season for Brighton?
For me, yeah. For me, I mean, what they want, I don't know. This is the trouble. You sometimes you get a taste of success or whatever. And then, you know, you always think you should be climbing and getting higher and higher. But I think I really do. Don't want to talk about ceilings or anything like that, because actually it does mean sometimes, as we've found, you can get into Europe, you can get on a run, and maybe you can win a trophy. But I think just being in and around the Premier League top 10 does mean, as I mentioned, you're going to qualify for Europe. I think there's a lot. They're so good at buying players, though. They're so good at bringing them in. But as we know from lots of clubs have done this, although I don't think any of them, I was going to mention Southampton, I don't think they were run as well as Brighton. You can't keep selling your players and then expect to keep getting better. And they do sell their players. But they are able to replace them. That's a hard trick to keep repeating, particularly and keeping the quality there. But they do manage it. And so but they're never going to keep all their best players and then add to them. They're sort of replacing ones that go out. And I think for that reason, you can stay in the top 10, qualify for Europe every now and again, have a cup run. I do think that's success for Brighton. As I mention it almost every time we speak about them. I remember them in that hockey stadium that didn't have a roof and all that. It's amazing what's happened to that club. And I've got a lot of respect for them. Stadium's brilliant, club's brilliant. Everything they do is absolutely brilliant. But there's some big boys in some big global leading football clubs in the Premier League. So yeah, I think top 10 is very good for them.
The thing is, I actually think they are, I'm not going to say overselling their big players or their best players. I'm not going to say that. But when I'm looking at Brighton's squad now, I don't know if they've got a £100 million player there. I don't know if they've got that player that's going to be courted by Manchester City or Arsenal or Liverpool. You know, obviously Cucurella, Caicedo, McAllister, they've all gone. And I'm looking at the Brighton team now, and I think they've got a lot of good players, a lot of them.
Yes.
But I feel like it's more, I think the talent's almost quite evenly spread throughout the team rather than being one or two almost superstars. I actually think they're all really good Europa League level players there, with maybe a couple that would be good enough for Champions League football in the Premier League as well. And I know Saliba has been courted and linked to the likes of Manchester United, but I don't think he's been at it this season. I actually don't think he's performed that well when I've watched Brighton play. So yes, in the summer, they've done well to keep a hold of him, but I don't know if the interest would be in him as much as it would have been a few months ago. So when I look at that Brighton team, I think, well, lots of good players, but are any of them going to be targeted this summer? If they go and have a good season, perhaps. But at this point in time, I'm not so sure. I think Brighton have, I think it also goes hand in hand with what Brighton have achieved on the football pitch, where they are now seen as, I think, a top 10 Premier League team.
Yeah.
And I think they've got the potential to go on and qualify for European football. And I know what you're suggesting, which is there's a lot of European spaces and it could go down as low as 9. But I think their ambition should be greater than that. I think a good season for Brighton is getting Europa League football and finishing 6th or 7th in the Premier League. And I think they are good enough to do that. And and that is good season for them. So I guess the ultimate question at the end of the day, Collins, is do you think they'll qualify for European football?
I do, yeah. When I say top 10, I do think sometimes they'll finish 9th, sometimes they'll finish 6th. That's just what I mean. If you're in the top 10, you're going to be that. Yeah, I do think they can get out. I think they're a really, really good team. You're right about Saliba, who, possibly, could be one day. People were hoping that he might be, like Caicedo or whatever. But they just buy so well, and they seem to buy the same type of players as well. So they know what they want. They've got an ethos. They're not, they're not replacing. They don't go and get replace a jinky winger with a long range ball passer or anything like that. They keep bringing through the same type of player, and getting the best out of players that are there, like Welbeck keeps doing it. So amazing, really. Could argue that his best time there.
I should have mentioned with Toma. I think he's the one player that I think clubs should be after, but because he's out at the minute, escaped from mine. But if he comes back and plays as well as he did, there might be serious interest in him. And they turned big money down. What was it, 80 million or something? They turned huge money down from Toma. So maybe they do have that outlier there at the minute, but he's just injured at the moment. So he escaped my memory. I think they will get Europa League football. I had a little flutter at the start of the season on the handicap market. So for those unaware, basically every team gets an extra set of points at the start of the season. So Liverpool got none. So their tally at the end of the season is what it is. Man City might have got 2 extra points. So you get their tally, you add 2 more, and it goes like that. And all the teams are the same odds. And I've done Brighton, but I think bloody Sunderland are going to get it because obviously they would have been expected to finish 19th or 20th. So they'll get a huge points tally added on. So that's my frustration. But I was back in Brighton at the start of the season to have a good one. And I think they still will have a good one. I think they'll qualify. And when I say European football, I don't think it'll be Conference League either. I think they'll get the Europa League. I think they might need someone to go on and win the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup to push the extra additional spots into the league table for them to do it. But I think they'll have a good season. I'm a big fan. With all that in mind, Gonzo, players you admire, please.
Yeah, Minteh Munter, who we discussed in Patreon this morning. I thought he's brilliant. He was electric. It's the first time I'd seen him or even be aware of him was when he played against us. But yeah, he's really good. I like Kadioglu. I think is a good player. Anytime I've seen him play, seems to play well. I actually quite like Gruder as well. Yeah, anytime I've not seen much of Brighton. Not going to pretend otherwise. Anytime I've seen him play, he looks to have quite a lot about him. Looks to be quite a rounded player actually. Good energy, good skill on the ball. So yeah, listen, they got lots of good players.
They've got a lot of good players that went out in the summer as well. Matt O'Reilly and Cisco Buonotte. I mean, these are players that would walk into West Ham's team, and
yeah,
Brighton felt like, oh, it's all right, we can let them go and we'll be okay. They are. And I think Ritter's one player I had big hopes for this season, but just hasn't quite hit the form. Had some injuries as well. So he's someone I still have hopes for. But I think Minteh has been by far their best player when I've watched Brighton. Fantastic talent. And you really do look at that Newcastle decision to sell Anderson and Minteh in the same window and keep a hold of Anthony Gordon.
I didn't know he'd come from Newcastle.
Yeah, he come from Newcastle. A real sliding doors moment that Newcastle adopted to keep a hold of Anderson and Minteh and let Anthony Gordon go, who at that time was up there. He was in form, Anthony Gordon, but that was their big decision. And you do wonder if maybe they just regret letting those two in particular go. Van Heck, I've been a big fan of Van Heck for quite some time now. And again, the more I watch Brighton, the more I like. He's had his iffy games as well, but I think he's a real solid centre-back. Really good on the ball. I think he's one of the best ball-playing centre-backs in the Premier League, in my opinion. And I'll say it, fair play, Danny Welbeck. That guy's scoring goals. I think he's 35 now. And you keep thinking, surely that's him sort of done at this level, but he's scoring goals. He's still scoring goals for them. He's doing well. But I did like, although it was only a brief appearance from Simaz, as he pronounced the young name, started up front against Villa and then twisted his ankle or his knee and went off. But he was energetic. And when I've seen him, albeit briefly, I like him. I know Brighton have invested a lot in those two young Greek players, and
Kostelas is very highly regarded. Highly regarded. Yeah.
Anyway, enough about Brighton. Shall we talk about West Ham?
Yes, mate.
Would you like some team news?
Yes, please.
We've got a lot of it, but a lot of it's speculation at the minute. Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see if Nuno clarifies on some of this team news. But here's how it stands at the moment. Lucas Paqueta is back after his suspension. The FA decided not to take further action against him, but they've warned him ahead of future conduct. So if he was to get another sending off for dissent, I think you'd find he gets an extended ban that time round. Somerville, the word is he might make it, but the word is he might have made it for the Man United game, the Liverpool game. He's becoming a bit of an injury. He's gone from a knock to an injury now. So we'll have to wait for clarification from Nuno ahead of this one. So we'll talk about the Somerville situation. But perhaps a more interesting situation is regarding Füllkrug, Igor and Guilherme. All three left out of the squad at Old Trafford. And the whispers are they've just been dropped by Nuno. None of them were injured. They've just been left out. And Nuno's decided not to select them, instead going with the likes of Kante, Myers and Callum Marshall instead. So for this preview, Gonzo, you haven't dropped Füllkrug, Igor and Guilherme, so you can select them if you want. And we'll have a conversation around that sort of Somerville / Guilherme type position. But for now, let's keep it straightforward because I think I know what you're going to say and I'm going to agree with you. So would you like to give me the goalkeeper and the defence you would like to see start against Brighton on Sunday, please?
Yeah, I would start with Areola in goal, of course, who's been didn't have much to do against Manchester United. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, brilliant game. Mavropanos, I'm really enjoying that partnership with him and Todibo, and I want to see that develop more. Todibo and Wan-Bissaka, to be fair, stars, absolute stars in defence against Manchester United. And Todibo's looking forward to seeing him play. He's giving us all energy performances at the moment. And really seeing the benefit of a run of games. Not just him, but, in particular, you're looking at him and he's now starting to look like, for so long, we'd look at Todibo and you'd think, oh man, we might have been done there, or we're going to have to load him out and take a loss on him. And I think now you're even looking at him, he looks like a £35 million defender. And I think even now, if someone came in with 35 million, we'd probably say no. So, I mean, that's quite a recovery from him, actually, and fair play to the manager as well. I would drop Diouf for this one because, well, if you'd have watched our Patreon player ratings, we went into quite a lot of depth about Diouf, and I mentioned on there that look, Diouf's good when the games are in front of him, and the trouble is he's got a good top end speed, but his acceleration and his ability to turn quickly is bad. He cannot change direction quickly, so all you've got to really do with him is slow him up and then go, and he will not be able to keep up. And he crosses his legs over as well, which it just stops him. Basically, he can't keep up, and he's got some defensive frailties to him. When that winger basically stands him up and goes at him. I think when the game's ahead of him, he can come in, he can win a late tackle. I think he can come in and he can win the ball well in the air. And I think he reads the game particularly well. So positionally, I think he's quite good as well. But it is just when he's that dueling and when the wingers doing the step overs and doing their stuff, I think he loses out against quick players. We saw it with Amad Diallo, and I think Minteh Minteh, he's going to have an even bigger problem there. So I just think it's an accident waiting to happen, actually, for there. So I would put Walker Peters in for this one.
Yeah, I completely agree with Gonzo in terms of the personnel selection. And, in the last preview, you spoke about the African Cup of Nations, and I said I would drop Diouf, not because of that, just because of his performances. But there is an element of that African Cup of Nations now. It is on the horizon. It's 10 days away where we lose our players. And Walker Peters hasn't come off the bench the last couple of games. And I feel like he's done all right when we've seen him. And a lot of the time we've seen him playing left wing, and he's done his best in those positions. And it's time to give him a crack now. If we didn't have the African Cup of Nations coming up, we'd maybe have a different conversation. But even if we did, I think I'd still be inclined to play Walker Peters for this one, just because Diouf's going to be coming up against one of the better right wingers in the Premier League, in my opinion. And I think we've had our warning signs. Nuno's had his warning signs with Diouf defensively, and he's sticking with him. Nuno's showing his faith big time, and I respect that from Nuno.
Yeah.
The easy thing to do would be to change him, and I guess me and you are doing that. But I do feel like we've got off with it on a couple of times as well, and this is fine. Diouf's 20 years old. He's learning the trade. It's okay, right? There's going to be some games he's going to struggle in. It's fine. But I think this is a good time now to start to transition into Kyle Walker Peters and get his match sharpness up ahead of that period, because he's going to have to play, whether it's right back or left back. He's going to be playing week in, week out while we are missing Wan-Bissaka and Diouf. So, yeah, Walker Peters at left back.
It's against this opponent. It's not saying drop him forever. Against this particular opponent, bearing in mind what happened with Diallo, you wouldn't put him up against Minteh.
Yeah, I completely agree. Moving into midfield, let's go with the double pivot, the easy selections. Two of the first names on the team sheet, really.
Yeah, and Magassa and Potts. Superstar performance from Magassa. Really solid game from Potts as well, who was, didn't pick up the man and match aftershave like Magassa did. But why would you change it? There's just no way you would change that. I'm actually excited to see it, and that is, you mentioned Baliba earlier. We got some players ourselves now in central midfield. We got a high energy midfield there, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Magassa contest that. But yeah, because he took so much of the limelight, and I've done already, spoken about him individually a lot, Magassa. Just to reiterate, Potts was really solid in that game. Not quite a Hollywood performance of Magassa, but very good. Very, very good. And yeah, I can't wait to see the pair of them team up again in front of the back four.
I completely agree, but this is where it gets tricky now for Nuno. And I'm intrigued as to see what you're going to come up with, because we've got three sort of attacking midfielders left in the striker position. I want to jump up to the striker first and work backwards a second. Are you sticking with Callum Wilson, given that we played Thursday, he's played pretty much the entire game, and then there's a quick turnaround to Sunday? Brighton have had that extra day's rest, but even I think we can discard that for our team selection, but we might have to consider it when it comes to how we're feeling ahead of the game as such. Would you go with Wilson, or are you making a change up front?
Yeah, I'll make a change, but not for anything to do with Wilson. It is that if there's a week between the games, I'd pick Wilson, but there's not. And I mean, we were all surprised to see him play 88 minutes, weren't we? So, but listen, Nuno's got to do what he's got to do. But I just don't think you can pick him. I really, really don't think you can pick him. I don't think he'd be fit enough. He just can't recover quickly enough at that age. And I think we're asking for trouble. We're still what, 5th of December now. We've still got to go a whole month before we're even able to bring anyone in. And that's assuming we can bring a striker in early in January. He is an injury-prone player, and we've done really well. He's done well. The medical team have done well. Everyone's done really, really well. We need him. We can't get an injury. So I just think that would be one risk too many. So no, I wouldn't. What about yourself?
No, I wouldn't either. To sum up, I said something quite good in the player ratings about Callum Wilson. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was along the lines of the last 10 minutes against Man U was screaming out for Callum Wilson, but the problem was he was already on the pitch. But
yes.
that was waiting for someone like him to come off the bench. And I think this game, whoever's up front is going to be chasing shadows for a lot of it. It's going to require a lot of energy. I don't think we're going to see much of the ball. I think they're going to dominate possession substantially. So I think the striker's going to have a really difficult role. And I think we're just asking too much of Wilson. I think he looked shattered at the end of the game against Man U before he came off. I thought he could have come off 10 minutes prior. I thought he was done before he went off. And it's just, like you say, you've got to look after him. You've got to rotate a little bit. And we are limited with the rotation available to us. We're talking about swapping the left back, and arguably that's not even because of rotation. That's just because of defensive performances. Our central midfield, both of them giving everything at Old Trafford, but we've got to pick them again because there's not an alternative to Magassa or Potts that we want to see. So with that in mind, who would you go up front?
Well, ordinarily, I probably would play Paqueta there for this one and not even contest it. And I suspect that's what will happen unless he changes formation. It's hard to know what he's going to do if we don't know him well enough yet, Nuno. But I think all things considered, I wouldn't bring him in for this game, and I don't think we're in a position where we can punish Paqueta long term, because I do think we're gonna need him. We will. But he did let his teammates down. He did let the club down. And I think that you have to send a little bit of messaging. If you're going to do that, I think support him, put your arm around him, all of that. I think you could do that. It's the old iron fist in the velvet glove. I think that's it. Put your arm around him. Say, don't worry, we're going to help you out, Lucas. And, I think the club are doing that anyway. I don't think it's the FA's job. I want to make that point. It can't be prosecutor and carer. That can't be the case. So the club and the PFA certainly to look after him, but also we're going to be kind to you. We're going to help you, but also you can't do that. So and the team performed well against. I'm not keeping Souček in, by the way. The team performed well against Manchester United. So I would put Marshall up front for the legs, and I would leave Paqueta on the bench for this one.
I would put Bowen up front. I don't especially like him up front, but that's the options, isn't it? Wilson, Paqueta, Marshall,
yes,
or Bowen. And I think I'd go with Bowen. I thought it was an improved performance from him against Man United. Unlucky not to score, just Mazraoui clearing off the line. But he had a little bit of grit about him. He had a little bit of something, and I quite liked what I've seen from Bowen. And this is a difficult fixture for whoever plays up front, but I think I'd start with Bowen up there. So that leaves us with 3 attacking midfielders each. I think you're going to... Well, I don't know, actually. Where are you putting Bowen, then? Are you putting him in number 10, which we've seen him, or are you putting him back in on right-hand side?
No, I'm putting him back on the right-hand side, but I just think you just got to work that a little bit better. So I don't want him hugging the right-hand side. You just got to work that partnership with Wan-Bissaka better. We know that can work. It just hasn't, we haven't seen too much of it recently. But, Wan-Bissaka was on fire, and look how he steamed down that right-hand side at the start of the game against Man U. So, yeah, I'd play Bowen on the right, certainly. I'd play Fernandes in the number 10 role.
Yeah, I'd have Fernandes in there as well. While I was impressed with Bowen, when Fernandes came central for that 10 minutes, I really liked what I've seen. I really liked it. I want to see him get more and more responsible in his team, give him more responsibility, give him a more central role, make him the main man for a game and see if he can step up. And I think he could. I like a lot of what he's got to offer, and I would like to see him in that number 10 role as well. So that leaves you with a left-sided player. Now, obviously, Somerville's fit. I know you would play him, but if Somerville is not available for this game, what's your solution?
I would still pick Guilherme, but obviously I don't know what's happened. So you don't know. I don't know why he's been dropped. So if there's something I don't know about, like a row or Nick Nuno's packed lunch or something, then you think, okay, then he can't take him.
Maybe he cancelled Nuno's horse riding.
Maybe he did. Maybe he did.
Nuno turned up and still sorry, Mr. Santo. Guilherme's cancelled. Guilherme's already cancelled your session.
Yeah.
With Rocky the horse, you can't ride Rocky today.
They both rode off into the sunset.
Something like that. You don't know what's happening.
So assuming that there's been no horsey or lunchbox business going on, I'd bring him in. I'd bring him in. I'd play a winger. I think we need the pace. I'm interested what you're going to do on the right hand side, though.
Yeah, if you still don't have Guilherme, what would you bring Paqueta in, or would you? Would you go for Earthy, Kante? What would your third choice left winger be? Diouf?
No. He's not got a trick. He is a wing back. This boy is a wing back, and I really like him. By the way, you make that point. But as I mentioned to you in Patreon, if Emerson was still at the club, there have been times this season I would have put Emerson back at left back because I think he's suspect. Only on those technicalities that I've mentioned, very specific bit of defending. I'm not saying he can't defend, but that one-on-one stuff against fast players, he struggles because his acceleration's so bad because of the way he plants. He just doesn't move off the mark quickly. If he was a FIFA player, he'd have 84 for pace, 20 for balance, and 20 for acceleration. Do you know what I mean? But his technique of tackling is very good.
You'd adjust his stats if you had him on FIFA. I know what you're like.
I've boosted them right up. I'll tell you what, he'd be like a ballerina by the time I finish with him.
Basically, for anyone that doesn't know, during COVID, scratching around for content, so we decided me and Gonzo played FIFA. And the idea was we were in the same team playing against other people, and that was what we recorded. But we had a little practice match. I played Gonzo. And I don't know how it works on FIFA, but basically my version of West Ham played his version of West Ham, and Joe Cole was running down the wing, and he was left
very quickly.
Yeah, and basically Gonzo had adjusted all the players' stats and made them all really fast. So I was playing with FIFA's version of West Ham, and Gonzo was playing with his own version of West Ham, but he had Joe Cole playing. And he was even switched him to a left-footed player just for the balance in his team. And you know what's funny? I still beat him.
Hold on a minute. Let's get this absolutely right. I did beat you, but it wasn't bloody recording conveniently. If you remember, right, it wasn't.
No, I do not remember.
And then you got a win, and yeah, well, you've something to do with you. I wasn't. Listen, I might have been doing skullduggerous stuff, tweaking the players, but you were doing skullduggerous stuff with the recording or whatever. Oh, actually, it was me that was recording it.
Yeah, but anyway, you were responsible. So you lost the footage of your win.
I did. It's true. That is true.
Seen some. Do you know what's more believable? That someone gets a bottle of aftershave of the player of the match. For anyone not on Patreon, I'll tell you the joke. Gonzo thought that award they get, he thought it was aftershave. We discovered it this morning. Gonzo generally thinks to get a bottle of aftershave.
It's an empty cylinder of plastic. Yellow and blue plastic. They get it for... What's the point? I don't want to. You have it back. Shove it up your what's it, quite frankly. Unless you're going to give me some champagne or some aftershave. What?
Maybe that's...
You are person of the moment or whatever, and they give them this bit of plastic. Yellow plastic. You're having a laugh.
Anyway. My other two... My other two players, I think I'd go with Guilherme if he's available on the right and Somerville on the left if he's available. Now, here's the issue. There's a good chance that neither are available. So we've got a bit of a problem here. And I think the problem is Lucas Paqueta. Because I'm inclined to agree with you, which is he deserves a little bit of a ticking off, and that is to be on the bench and to come on. And he'd be a bloody good player to have on the bench. alongside Callum Wilson. So if the game's in the balance later on, you've got Paqueta and Wilson on there. Suddenly, that whole keep it tight and try and nick it might actually work when you're bringing those two onto the pitch. But I feel like beggars can't be choosers almost. But I would start Earthy if Guilherme or Somerville was out. He's my next one in line ahead of Lucas Paqueta for this one. I think he deserves a chance. I think he's in good form for the under 21s. He's making. I always think when you watch that level of football, and this is what I think with George Earthy, when you get players that look like it's too easy for them, it feels a bit pointless watching them play at that level. But I feel like they're ready for the step up. And he played well when fit at Bristol City as well. He was just unlucky with injuries, but he was playing well at championship level, which is what Freddie Potts was doing as well. He's made the step up. So I think there's more evidence as to why Earthy could step up compared to some of his peers, such as Callum Marshall or Kante, who didn't do anything wrong against Man U, but I think there's more evidence as to why Earthy would be able to cut it against Brighton. So I'd have Earthy in the team if Somerville or Guilherme was unavailable. If they were both unavailable, I think I would reluctantly put Paqueta back in. Now, I'm quite sure Nuno's going to play him because Nuno's gone along with what Paqueta has said. I snap because it's just got to me and I feel like I'm being targeted, and Nuno said, yeah, he's struggling, and that's the reason for it. And I think it's the right thing for Nuno to do, because I think what he's done is made it easy to bring Paqueta back in. If Nuno sat there saying, oh, he's let the team down, he's then got to follow that up with an action, which is where you can't just walk straight back into the team here. But if Somerville and Guilherme are out, I feel like Paqueta's going to have to play, really, just because of slim pickings. But I think Earthy is the one I want to see minutes for on Sunday, if possible. Anyway, before I ask Gonzo how he's feeling ahead of today's game, Sunday's game, this video is in collaboration with Surfshark. We've been working with Surfshark for quite some time because Gonzo loves it. Gonzo needed a VPN a few years ago. He went and got Surfshark, and he said, "Oh, Gio, this is all right." So we contacted Surfshark and said, "Oh, Gonzo uses you a lot, so can you pay us to promote you?" And you went, "Yeah, go on then." Anyway, Gonzo likes the perks of VPN. My favorite perk of a VPN is changing your location. I absolutely love it. It's a very, very handy thing to do. Even forget the VPN aspect of it. Forget it's a VPN a second. If I said to you, there's an app that you can get on your phone that costs less than the price of a coffee per month, and that app allows you to change the location of your device, therefore accessing content as if you were in another country, right? So you go on Surfshark, that's the app you use, you change it, you say, I'm in America. Your app's like, hey, I'm in America. What y'all want to do? And then you can decide what you want to do as if you were in America. It's wonderful. So forget that's a VPN a second. That comes with its own benefits. I would pay money for that app to do just that, change the location, because it's very, very handy. It can be very, very handy at weekends. On Saturdays at 3 p.m., Sundays at 2 p.m. It's sometimes a nice thing to have on your device around that time. Anyway, we've got an offer for you. We've got an offer. 4 months free. Go to surfshark.com/Hammers Chat. You get all the benefits of the VPN as well as changing the location. Plus, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee as well. So if you give it a try for the next month and you think, I don't like this, don't want it, shouldn't have got it, that's all right. Go get a full refund. Now, I know the full refund thing works because I've checked it out myself. I wouldn't promote it if I didn't know it didn't work. So I got Mrs. Gio signed up the next day when I want to cancel this. The money was back just like that. It was easy. A couple of clicks of a button and the refund was there. Plus, one account, unlimited devices. So you're thinking, oh, no, I need it from a phone. I need it from a tablet. I need it from a computer. You do, but you only need to sign up and pay once and you can cover them all. Just log in on each one. Surfshark.com/Hammers Chat. Gonzo, are you feeling fruity?
Mildly.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. Got a bit of hope back in the team. There's a number of players I'm looking forward to watching play, and I don't. It feels like we've made a big step forward since Graham Potter. I feel that defensively we have improved. I don't feel the massive threat from set pieces anymore, as we discussed before. And I feel now, looking at the midfield, we have a functioning more than a functioning midfield, young, vibrant, good players in midfield. The reason I'm not full fruity is we still have problems on the wing and in attack, and we need to get to January to sort that, really. So I feel like, well, if you look at defence, midfield and attack, I still feel we're competing with 2/3 of a team. So for that reason, it's hard to be fully fruity, but I'm looking forward to it because we've got some very good players.
I'm not feeling fruity. I rate Brighton highly. I think they've got a really good team. I think that extra day's rest might benefit them as well as a quick turnaround Thursday, Sunday. It's equivalent of playing Europa League football and then playing on Sunday. We struggled with that, albeit under a different manager, but we had more options back then. When we played European football, we were able to rotate the team in the group stage as well, quite often as well. We were able to take out Emerson and put in Creswell, for example. We don't really have that squad depth at the minute. So even if Nuno wanted to rotate, options are quite limited. So I just think this is a difficult fixture that's come too soon. If there was a week between games, I'd maybe be feeling a little bit perkier ahead of it. But a part of it's a reflection of how much I rate Brighton as well. And they are bloody good at home, usually, away from that Aston Villa game. So I'm not looking forward to this one. We're in good nick at the minute. 2 wins, 2 draws, a defeat from 5. That's form. That's good form. But I'm just not feeling this. I'd be lying if I sat here and predicted us to win or something like that. Gonzo, can I get your score prediction? But also, when I was scribbling there, I've predicted 2 things really. I predicted your score prediction and who you also might think could be man of the match. So can I get your score prediction and your prediction for man of the match if he was to play the team that you wanted?
Man of the match. This is a novel thing you're throwing at me here. Who's going to pick up the Who's going to pick up the aftershave? This is a good question. Well, Jean-Claire Todibo. Let's see a bit of paper.
I don't have him, but what's your score prediction?
Right, there you go. 0-0.
Ooh, I went 1-1, and I went aftershave for Fernandez.
Oh, lovely. Come on.
I appreciate it. Looks like the cylinder's doing a fart, but I didn't know how else to.
It's not a TNT like Acme, like Road, like your Wile E. Coyote trying to blow up Roadrunner or something.
I didn't know how else to demonstrate scent other than making it look like it's farting. So there you go.
What does it say on it?
Aftershave for Fernandez. Oh, on the cylinder it says POTM, player of the match. You're not allowed to call it man in the match anymore.
No. Person of the occasion. Here's your bit of plastic.
There you go. The slightly better player than the rest of them. Here's your reward. I'm going to say 2-0 Brighton. I don't think we didn't lay a glove on Liverpool. The second half against Brighton, we didn't cross the halfway line. I appreciate we were 2-0 up, but those 2 goals were fantastic individual strikes by Callum Wilson. And against Man United, we didn't look like scoring until like the 85th minute or whenever it was. We actually scored. There was a lot of the game where I just didn't feel like we had much cutting edge about us whatsoever. And I just think Brighton are a better team than Man United. And I think Brighton are a better team than Liverpool. And I think at the minute, right now, I think Brighton are also possibly a better team than Bournemouth at the moment. So, yeah, I think this is a difficult fixture. And I think we're going to lose. So I'm going to say Brighton 2, West Ham United 0. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us on our match preview. If you enjoyed it, please do drop a like on it by clicking the thumbs up button. Subscribe to Hammers Chat and get involved in the comments below. Let us know what team you would like to see, not what you think Nuno will do. We do care about that, but we'll care about that on Sunday. But for the time being, we would like to know what you want Nuno to do. Would you bring Paqueta in? Would you not? Let us know in the comments below. But Gonzo, thank you very much. And you guys at home, thank you. Myself and Gonzo. Catch you in a bit.